Hello again, everybody. My name is Ash Daddy. Today we're going to be going over 5 more things that we can do to take our basic Arma mission and elevate it up to a higher level. So, I know it's been a long time since my last video. However, today we're going to be taking that old video and we're going to be compounding on it. We're going to be taking all the foundation work that we laid in the previous video, and we're just going to be taking it up to the next level. Some of the things I'm going to be talking about in this one are going to give you better control over the AI and environment and allow you to cultivate a better game for your players. Really quickly, I do want to mention that if you ever have any comments or questions about Arma 3, you could always join our Discord. I'll link it down below. We're always happy to help anyone with modding issues, anything with coding and stuff like that. We're a really good community, and we just want to make sure that Arma players have the tools that they need to create, content. Also, you can check out my Twitch above. We do a lot of Arma stuff. If you want to see a lot of the principles I'm going to talk about today put into action, especially Zeusing missions, you can check that out at ashheadyactual.ttv. So, without further ado, let's get into this. We're going to take our old video and we're going to compound on it with 5 more very crucial ideas on how to make missions. One of the first things that I want to start off with is I'm running a completely vanilla game right now so that I can get, the most concentrated information out there. This doesn't have any mods, doesn't have any of the Zeus mods or any of that, so this is completely vanilla. As you add mods, it's going to change a lot of the dynamics that you're allowed to control within the game. But this should give you at least a good base work when you start working with Zeus. Okay guys, so idea number 1 is called Zeus. Now this is actually a massive tool that's given to creators. It basically allows you to play this game kind of like an RTS, real-time strategy. And it also gives you the ability to basically make things up on the fly. It's a massively creative tool given to you to create scenarios. So in order to set it up, there's a couple things that you need. So you're going to go to the modules under Systems, Systems, and you're going to look for Zeus at the bottom here, okay? Go to Game Master, and you can just plop it on the map anywhere you want, right? So I'm actually going to put it a little bit off to the side because when you're in Zeus, you don't want to accidentally delete it. So it's best to just take it and throw it off into the middle of nowhere. Next thing you're going to need to do, double click on it, and you're going to need to set the owner to your Steam ID. Now this is a little more difficult, but there's a really easy way to do this. So first thing you're going to need to do is go to your Steam, and you're going to go to your profile, and you're just going to right click up here in the margin, copy the page URL, and you're going to paste that inside of just a search engine, and it should give you a series of numbers. And that series of numbers at the very end is going to be your Steam ID. And what you're going to do is put that Steam ID inside the owner slot. I'm not going to show you mine for obvious reasons. However, if we go back to Arma and we just put in our Steam ID here, whatever it may be for you, and you set it, when you log into this game, it'll give you and you only, if you're logging in with your Steam, control of the Zeus module. So once you've retrieved your Steam ID, you're going to place it in this owner tab, like I said. If you were running with mods, I know I haven't covered mods very well. I haven't covered them at all. If you're running with mods, you're going to do all add-ons, including unofficial ones. This will allow you to control assets that are mods as well. For our purposes, since we're running vanilla only, it'll be all official add-ons. But you can't go wrong with selecting this tab either. Like I said, this is not my actual Steam ID. I'm going to have to place it in. But once you do this, you hit OK. And now you don't have to connect it to anything. It'll just give you the ability to Zeus. And I'll show you what that looks like here next. One sneaky little dev tool that I want to show you is being able to create a custom composition. This isn't one of the steps, however, it's exceptionally useful. Especially for the Zeus module, because running and grabbing your Steam URL is kind of a pain. So one way that you can do it is once you have that input, like you have the number put in the user, go ahead and highlight the Zeus tab, right click on it, go to Save Custom Composition, okay? This is going to allow you to basically save, like if you customize a car or customize a unit, you can save that unit so you don't have to keep customizing it. So I'm going to save this module since we've customized it with our Steam ID. I'm going to title it Zeus, probably. The author is me, and we're going to give it a category. I'm just going to throw it under probably miscellaneous if I can find it. Okay, since I couldn't find a good category, I'm just going to throw it under accessories. You can use any of these that you want. It'll just help you find it easier. So I'm going to pick accessories just for fun. I couldn't find a good category. Hit OK. And to find all these custom compositions that you've made, you're going to go to Compositions. And then you're going to go to Custom over here on the right. And all of these are old compositions that I have. I have Army, like fire teams from 2003, stuff like that. And I have accessories, Zeus, right here. So what I could do, click, and just drop it in. And it should have my Steam ID already loaded. That way, it basically adds this to your custom palette of things that you could just draw from for missions. So you open up a new one, just go to your Custom tab, and just drop in a Zeus right away, and you're good to go. Okay, now we're in game. We just load it in normally, like we always do. Everything looks totally fine. You can go to your inventory and stuff like that. However, now that you have this, basically the key to the background, you have the peek behind the curtain here. All you have to do is press Y, the Yankee button, and now you're in something that kind of looks like the Eden editor, right? So you now have full control of Zeus as this character. Generally, it's best practice to make the Zeus invincible because it keeps things stable. Like if you get killed, who gets Zeus commands? You want to be able to run this game for your players. So there's a lot of controls, and I could honestly make an entire video about Zeus. And if you guys want to, I could definitely do that for you. But I'm just going to give you the highlights real quick. You can indeed just drop in units, right? So CSAT, we're just going to drop in some guys. We'll drop in an ammo bearer right here. Now he's in the game, and your guys can go and accomplish missions thusly. So you can highlight him, you can right-click him in places, and he will go do things. So now he's in the universe, and he's going to affect the mission. So now that we have an enemy NPC in the game, we can actually take control of him through Zeus. And basically, we can role play as an enemy. So you can go down to Zeus, remote control, and just click the little puppet strings on this guy. And now you are this guy. And just to back out, you'd hit Yankee key again. You could change up the scenario flow of the game if you want to assign objectives. Or you can end the scenario, stuff like that. That's all done through this Zeus interface here. So if I want to assign a target, say that guy, kind of like how we set up the HVT for the last time, we could do a neutralize tab on him. So we'll set up a neutralize command on this guy. %1 just means it's going to draw information from that target. So it's going to give you the place of that target, and it's also going to say neutralize unit name. Okay, neutralize the target. We're going to set it to the blue 4 side, that's us, and hit OK. And now we should get an objective. So this allows you to sort of curtail a lot of the coding in the game for a little bit more of a reactive gameplay. So if your players do something in-game that you think warrants a different objective, you can perform that through this Zeus interface. Zeus also gives you command of a wide variety of, fire support, environmental changes. You can even drop down animals. You just, like I said, there's a lot to go into Zeus. You're just going to want to take some time and look at it. So now that we completed that task, we're going to go ahead and just end the scenario. So you can go to end scenario, drop it wherever you want. You could do mission completed. You could even write in target neutralized. All right, bada boom, hit OK. It'll end the scenario for you, nice and clean. It's got a lot of high production value here. It's got the music and everything. You can perform entire missions by just dropping down a Zeus module and populating the game. I've seen countless examples of that, but this, in a nutshell, a very, very small nutshell, is Zeus. Okay, now that we have Zeus down, one of the next big ideas I want to talk about is arsenals. Think of an arsenal as it's an equipment storage locker, basically, but it allows you to add infinite amounts of weapons to a certain box. So, for example, we're going to take this equipment box, supply box AAF, drop it down. If you go into its inventory by double-clicking it, you can look at all the status for it. You can assign it, health and stuff. But if you scroll to the bottom, you'll see that it does have a limited equipment, a limited inventory. So it's got PCML missiles, flashlights, you know, first aid kits, stuff like that, right? You could clear it out. You can go to virtual. Virtual gives it this sort of mystique, sort of Mary Poppins bag with no bottom to it. And we're going to add in some stuff. And you see now it goes from being a limited inventory of having a number next to it to infinite inventories. So this allows your characters or your players to basically do like a weapons draw and really customize their character. So I'm just going to add in some stuff here. I'm going to add in some weapons. It doesn't really matter what. You can take your time and go through this. Or you can do a thing where you just add everything in the game to this arsenal, right? And we'll hit OK on this. Okay, once you've picked everything that you want in the box and you load back into the game, you should be able to come up to this box and it'll say Arsenal. You're just going to middle mouse click on it, middle mouse click on it again. It'll bring you to the Bohemian Interactive Arsenal. Now, there is a big difference. You might hear a lot of things about Ace Arsenals. Ace is a mod, and we're not doing that today. We're going to do a video about mods in the future, hopefully very, very soon, because Ace is a fantastic set of mods that gives you even more control over your missions. So once you're in the arsenal, you can see these little pop-up boxes on all different things. Like if you want to go for your helmet and change your helmet, you can just click on your helmet and change it to a different one. If you guys see these icons on the side, that means it's a DLC for the game, and you'll have to buy it or else you will get basically like an ad run over your screen for that DLC. And it's meant to grab your attention and sort of make it unplayable with that asset. However, you can use these assets on AI without getting in trouble. It's just if the player that is using the helmet, say like this one here, if they're using it, they don't own the DLC, it will give them basically an ad that runs over their screen. And you can just keep going down the line here, and you can just deck your guy out all the way. You can either use the left column here to deck your guy out, or you can use the clicking feature on the body. And you can really change your guy up just like this. It's very similar to how you deck out units in the Eden editor. However, this is for players once they hit the ground. You can just throw a box with some weapons and some ammo, and you can get them going. So you go to your backpack, you can click over all these ammo types for them, and this is going to be a way for them to kind of make the character their own and customize their person, right? So like I was talking about with the DLC, since I placed on something from the Contact DLC onto my person, even if I only had it on for a couple seconds, it will force you into ads. Just be aware of that. That is normal. The reason why that's so important is if you have certain gear in an arsenal box that's DLC based, your players are going to have a bad time when their entire screen is like, it'll take over their entire screen with these little grid squares that just show the DLC content. It's almost like a watermark that prevents them from playing the game. So just be aware of what your players have DLC-wise, and I would just be very careful to quality control and make sure that you're not including DLC that your players don't have. It'll be a bad time. So another little piece about arsenals is once you're in-game in Zeus, perhaps you forgot to edit some units before you plopped them down. So with the base game, you can go up to a non-playable unit, kind of like this officer here. Let's say that something got messed up and he doesn't have a gun or you need to change him. You can go to Zeus and Arsenal right here. And you're just going to take this little bullet and drop it directly on top of him. And you should be able to mess with him in-game real time. So if one of your players was standing right here, he would just see this guy cycling through all these weapons. So you want to do this behind closed doors so they don't see it. But yeah, you could really mess with this guy. And once you exit and close it out, he's got... Okay, now that we got your players set up with some custom gear, we want to give them a little bit more control of the game and also pull away some responsibilities for Zeus. There's one thing about calling in support fire with Zeus that kind of feels hollow. You know, you say to the Zeus, you could do like a full, support by fire mission call, but the Zeus just sort of plops down the fire mission, and it kind of takes away a little bit of control from the player. So one thing you could do is support by fire mission calls, which is really cool. So what you need to do is first go to Blue 4 and pick a type of support by fire that you want to do. I'm going to do a Mark 6 mortar system, and you're going to want to place it fairly far back. I mean, it's got a lot of range. Systems is going to give you, if you type in support, it'll give you the support provide artillery, and you're going to connect that to the one providing the support, or the artillery. And all you do is connect it with right-click, connect, sync to. Next one you're going to do is support requester. So this is going to give control of that artillery piece to whoever this connects to. We're going to connect it to the main player here. Usually you only want to give this to fire team leaders or squad leaders, just so that there's a little bit of control and you're not just calling fire missions every 5 seconds. And then you're going to connect the two modules together. Okay? And we're going to load into the game. So it says that support units are now on standby, and you can tell in the top right of the screen you'll see a little artillery piece. It's a little gray square. That allows you the ability to call in support by fire missions. And the way that you can access that through hotkeys would be you click 0, and you're going to scroll down to supports, or you can hit 8. And it'll keep going with this, this mission. So once you get to the tab that says artillery strike, you'll see that your reticle pattern has changed to what looks like a kind of like a crosshair. And I believe you can access this through if you had binoculars as well. Okay, so let's say we want to do a mortar strike on this house over here. We're just going to put that reticle pattern right on the house, and then we're going to keep following these commands. So we're going to hit 1. We're going to select which artillery piece, just in case you have multiple artillery pieces at your disposal. Maybe you have 80mm mortars, maybe you have 155s. You're going to be able to pick, depending on what the situation is. We'll pick our mortar system. Now you get to pick what round you want. You got HE mortar shells, high explosive, flares for night ops, and you also got smoke shells white to cover advancing movements. So we're going to do HE, and now you get to pick basically how many rounds, and we're going to do just a full, we'll do a full 8, and he's going to run the fire support mission. And you just watch everything happen in the bottom left. It's basically, you know, the call and receive of you talking with your artillery piece. Splash, basically you're looking for touchdown. Boom. Good hits on target. Right there, 2. So he's done firing. You should hear 8 impacts, and then you're good to go, man. But this allows you to give your infantry basically a whole new range of attack, and it's fantastic. And I think it's a little bit more satisfying than just having a Zeus do it. So compiling on with certain things that you can give to your infantry to have them have more control over the scenario would be radio call triggers. So an example of that would be if we have a helicopter and we want to use it as air support, right? So we want to be able to do a gun pass with this this Pawnee here. We're going to be able to place it down, and we'll give it a destination. We'll have it go. Where's move? Okay, there it is. Go here, and then we'll have it do a run on Chaukea. Okay, so we want to be able to activate when this helicopter takes off. So we're going to set a trigger, and we're going to set waypoint activation on this first module here. We're going to go into the trigger, and activation type we're going to set to any of these radio stations. We'll do alpha for now. And basically what this says is this Pawnee it's going to sit on the ground and await going to this very first waypoint until the radio is actually triggered. So we could sit here on the ground and go do our objective and then call in for that basically helicopter to come in. We could use it as an extract. We could do all sorts of things. So why don't we try that? So we called in the helicopter, and it just seems to be loitering here. Now, here's one of the beautiful things about what we did with Zeus earlier is things like this are bound to happen if you're doing a lot of missions. So if something doesn't script correctly, what you could just do is sneak into Zeus real quick. Alright, and you'll be able to control this object. Since that helicopter didn't want to act appropriately to the coding I was trying to give it, we're going to do something with Zeus, and this is sort of a learning lesson here. Go to Systems and Zeus, and we're going to do Add Editable Objects. We're going to place it kind of over by our Zeus eye, wherever that thing is. There it is. You're going to connect these two together, sync them. And then whatever you want to be able to control through Zeus, you are going to connect to this cogwheel here. So we want to be able to control this helicopter through Zeus. we also want to be able to control all of the enemies that we place down through Zeus as well. So we'll sync those over to this cogwheel as well. And we'll also sync this to the cogwheel as well. Okay. And once we go in and go to Zeus, we should be able to see these populate on the Zeus menu, and we'll be able to control them directly instead of placing them in. This allows you to do prefabbed functions or prefabbed units that are controllable through Zeus. One quick caveat about using the add editable objects is if you happen to highlight a vehicle, you're going to need to do not add crew here on the drop down. You got add, do not add. Do not add. It's going to cause an error if you try and add the crew sometimes. So it's best either to have the crew outside the vehicle and then Zeus them in later, like have them go into it, or just don't add it. And when we go to play this now, we should have complete control over everything that we assigned a Zeus to. That would be those enemies and the helicopter. And once we log in, we should be able to Yankee key. And there it is. So we now have control of this helicopter. We can highlight it. We can give it a waypoint. We can send it on its way. All right, once you do that, though, it's going to kill the code that was aligned to it, which is good. So now we can control this thing directly. We can have it land right on our position. And we should be able to just hop in the thing and make off with it. As you can see, this helicopter now has a flight pattern that should land him somewhere in this field. Helicopters on Arma are infamous for not wanting to follow orders, though, so just be patient with them. And if you really have to, you could take control of this pilot for the meantime and have him land the helicopter that way. The last thing I want to talk about is usually what I'll wrap these videos up with, and that's quality control. So a lot of the quality control that you need to worry about with Zeus is making sure that before you launch the game, I would just have everything tied to these add editable objects tab, because it allows you to deal with the situation as it goes along. You don't want to hop into Zeus with your friends and you're not able to control any of the AI, right? It's a huge hassle. Make sure that everything works with the Zeus. Definitely make sure that if you're allowing players to have an arsenal box, you don't give them DLC that they don't have, because it's a huge burden on the game if they don't have it, and it's just an unplayable mess. The best part about Zeus is that you can really integrate a structured and coded mission, kind of like the one we did with the HVT in my last mission, and now you can broaden it out with Zeus interaction. So that really bare bones mission that we played, you can enhance it greatly. You can really just flesh out the world as it goes along. You can add in artillery, you can add in helicopters, cars, patrols, all sorts of things to throw at your players. You can script the bare bones mission and make it flawless, right? And then just add Zeus stuff in. The only detriment is you don't actually get to play, but now you're playing in a different role as the Zeus, sort of like the man with the puppet strings, and you get to give your players a really good time with it. So with Zeus, I was able to create this whole thing, a very dynamic battleground. You have helicopters flying overhead, tanks taking the objective, we got infantry pushing up, and this is all done through Zeus. All of these dynamic sort of ideas that you could just throw in to make your world really feel a lot more deep than just, you know, oh, go kill this guy and walk away. So now you got overhead flybys. I mean, you can just make it a very 3D battle space and give your players a very, very solid and unique experience, however you want to do it. Zeus allows you that option. Well, I hope that you coming here, you learned a little bit something. We covered a massive topic, Zeus, and like I said, we can go on for a long time about Zeus. We covered arsenal boxes, we covered support by fire mission calls, radio triggers, and last but not least, and always, quality control. We want to make sure that we're giving these people that are playing this game a solid experience without any like cracks or accidental peek behind the curtains. Anyways, I really appreciate you guys coming out. I hope I'm going to be making more videos here soon. Like I said, I want to do something that's just a whole encompassing Zeus. We want to get into some mods, and I want to show you some of my favorite mods coming up here soon. So stay tuned. If you're not subscribing to the channel, please go ahead and do so. And I'm going to try and get as much content out there as humanly possible. Until next time, guys, I'm Ash Daddy Actual. Come check me out on Twitch or Discord, and I'll see you guys later. Take it easy.